Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 22nd season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAlear's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. These are the NitWits. We got Neil, we got Mark, and our special guest once again, former Penn State captain Mike Irwin. How you doing?
Thanks, Peter. It's good to be here.
It's always great having you on here.
I'm fine.
You're one of our regulars.
Original
right.
Nitwit. Yep, proud of it.
Penn State goes on the road, takes on Ohio State, one of the best teams in the country. Falls 28-17. There's a big comeback in there. Ohio State, in my opinion, looked like probably one of the best college teams that I've seen. You guys have been doing this for a lot longer. How do you think Ohio State stacked up, and what do you think of Penn State's performance, Mark?
Well, I think you look at Ohio State, and first year under Ryan Day, he obviously inherited a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. Give him all the credit in the world. That's not always the easiest thing to do, to take over for a legend, and he's done an unbelievable job. I think the fact that Ohio State fought back after Penn State came back was a good sign for Ohio State, and I think it was a good sign overall the way Penn State played. Listen, that team fell behind 21-0 in a hostile environment and lost its starting quarterback. I think if you would have put that scenario out there before the game to any Penn State fan and said, this is what's going to happen, everybody would have said, you know what, they're going to get blown out. And the fact that they didn't, I think, speaks well. Having said that, I do think it goes back to this whole situation where Penn State is not necessarily elite yet. And I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying that there are clearly a handful of teams that are up there. Penn State's not quite there. But guess what? It's getting closer. It's inching closer.
Yeah, I think they come out of this game having built some momentum, feeling better about themselves against a marquee opponent. I wrote going into this game, I thought in some ways it was the first game of the 2020 season. Of course, there's a lot left in this season, and had they won this game, that would have changed a lot of the dynamic. But I thought if they could go out there and have a competitive showing, which they did after falling behind. I was very impressed with a lot of aspects, particularly Will Levis and what he injected and how Penn State took advantage of Ohio State's mistakes. So I think they gained some ground yesterday.
I'm not sure when you become elite, because I think Ohio State has the best team in the country. I think they're the number one team in the country. Penn State held up there with them. They fought right to the end, and we had an opportunity to beat them. We were 21-14 down, and we were moving the ball. And I think if Journey Brown doesn't drop that ball, we score another touchdown, who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be tied up at that point. So, I mean, I think the difference in Ohio State is Justin Fields is an outstanding quarterback, probably the Heisman Trophy winner, or up for the Heisman Trophy, I won't say. I have to think he's got to be a strong candidate
Well,
for
and
it.
that's the thing, Mike. I agree. You know, everyone wondered how Ohio State would react because they have not been in any close games and had Penn State. And I think Journey has played really well and played well yesterday. But, you know, if you hold that ball and tie it, maybe it's a little different. But
Nobody
who
ever
knows?
wants to give those back when Penn State wins in that fashion, though. You know what I'm saying? Where Penn State clearly, I think, is the better team. And I'm not saying Penn State was here. I think Ohio State athletically and depth-wise was the better team.
Yeah.
But when Penn State is the better team and plays in a close game and the other team came close like Michigan, nobody's ever saying, oh, well, Michigan should have won that game. That's not the way this works. You know, Mike, you talk about Justin Fields. I have to tell you, he was a huge difference in the first half. I like the way that the Penn State defense adjusted and really went after them, the ball carriers, Fields included, trying to force turnovers. I think that changed the game. To me, the difference was the dominating play of the Ohio State defense. The Penn State offense, until they're able to consistently play well, even against the better teams on their schedule, this team will not be elite. And I'll tell you, the situation yesterday is the defense with its turnovers set up almost all of the offense for Penn State.
Yeah.
So Fields was great, but I think the Ohio State defense was even better.
But I think our biggest challenge, I mean, I think James Franklin's doing a good job recruiting, but recruiting against Ohio State, I mean, I heard Urban Meyer earlier, they were saying how many guys are going to get drafted to the NFL off of the Ohio State team, and he said 22 for both sides of the ball. I mean, that's
Well, of course he's going to say that because he's recruited them all.
You know, but if you look down, I mean, they probably have 3 candidates for the Heisman Trophy. If you look at Chase Young and Dobbins, the running back, and also Fields.
But
So,
you don't
I mean,
get there overnight. And that's where, when it comes to recruiting, and this is something I follow probably closer than anybody else here, it's a situation where Urban Meyer was able to establish that over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Franklin is just getting there, and you're starting to see the benefits of it. You're seeing it with the depth and the talent that Penn State has. They're just not quite at that top level. It's going
But
to
the
take
thing
them.
is, I think the difference maker is Fields, and he's going to be there for the next couple of years.
Well,
and
he
they're
could-
still
he might-
They
recruiting.
scored,
might
se-
only
they
be
scored
there
7 points in
another
the
year.
second half.
But they might only be there
no.
one more year.
Yeah.
The way the thing works. He was fantastic. I was a little disappointed how they didn't spy him early well enough. He made those plays, but I would take issue with some of the stuff. To me, defensively, they haven't been real sharp early for the last month. And when you look back, you can't go on the road in Columbus.
I didn't say the last month. I
Well,
said in that game.
No, but you said that the offense. You pinned more of this on the offense.
Absolutely. In
The
this
defense-
game,
Yeah, I would
the
say so,
defense
too.
allowed
Yeah.
them to go 91 yards immediately, and then drove down the field again, and were going in to make it 14-0. And I don't think the Penn State offense had really gotten their feet under them.
the Penn
at
State
that point.
defense, now granted, they allowed them to drive down to the goal line, but prevented a touchdown with a fumble and caused 2 fumbles that set up the offense with short fields.
Which
I mean,
the
how could
offense-
you say that changed the game?
Well, the offense
defense
took
got.
advantage of that, but as soon
They
as
got
that
10 points back.
As soon as that happened, Ohio State went right
You
down
held
the
Ohio
field
State
and went up 2
24
scores
points.
again.
Ohio State was held 24 points below its average scoring. So you're telling me that the defense didn't play well? I'm telling you the defense gave up some yardage, but was a huge factor.
Well, the
in that game.
defense made a lot of adjustments the second half. But the first half, if you would roll back and
Sure.
and look at that 90-yard drive,
Yeah.
and Fields had like 3 runs in there, third
Absolutely.
down,
The
third
tackling.
and long, and he ran
Yep.
different times. I mean,
We
you're-
got a lot more coming up.
Okay.
We have a lot
Break it
coming
up,
up.
break it
Coming
up.
up next on Nittany Nation Overtime, Ohio State looked like the better team at times, as we've said, but we show you what Penn State can focus on to fix next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town and Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners. for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show. A lot of discussion kind of where you would pin the loss, and I think after hearing you guys kind of go back and forth, it's not clear, in my opinion, because you can look at, the defense giving up a lot of stuff in the first half. You can look how they performed better in the second half, the turnovers. You can look how the offense didn't do a lot of great things, obviously, in the first half. But I think Ohio State kind of proved, as we said before, that they were the better team. And I think it started with the run game. I mean, J.K. Dobbins had that great start, and once they got out to that big start, it was just too much to overcome.
But the thing that bothers me, a couple of things bother me, but they're not containing. I mean, Dobbins ran around the end with nobody containing him.
Yeah.
The defensive corners are not playing up, and they went. I mean, they didn't even. I think they threw the ball once, maybe in the first. 15 plays or something like that. So, I mean, it bothers me that. And then if you roll back to Indiana and and Minnesota,
right.
Their pass defense was terrible. I mean, now they did play much better on Saturday than they have all year long. I think that on pass defense anyway.
I agree, and I will accept your point that that holding them to 28 points, you'd feel pretty good about it, but they still weren't going to go out there and win that game 31-28. It had to be even lower than that, I thought, especially with your quarterback when he got hurt. I'm not saying that there's not offensive issues. You're still really shorter. It was good that they started throwing the ball to him a little more, but you still haven't really established a complementary wide receiver game. Hamler was not 100%. So I think there was a few things that added up there.
Yeah, to me, I've been saying it all year. I think they have to be more committed to the run. And I think when you saw that in the game against Ohio State, actually when Levis came in, unfortunately Clifford got banged up. Nobody wanted to see that. But when they seriously committed to the run, that was impressive. I mean, Ohio State could not stop them on that power running game. Mm-hmm. And listen, after the game, and it's one thing with James Franklin, he doesn't want to talk about injuries until it's kind of convenient to talk about injuries. And I'm just saying that directly, that he admitted after the game that there have been some things that have been lacking from their offense because Clifford has been banged up. And I guess my question would be, I mean, if your offense is that limited, and I'm not suggesting that a healthy Clifford should be pulled out, but if you're really struggling, don't you give Levis at least a shot if Clifford's banged up maybe a little bit earlier, or commit to the run game?
They don't make those changes real quick. I mean, and especially in the quarterback position. I mean, nothing. McSorley played every play for the last couple of years, and they don't get the second-team quarterback in enough. They move a lot of other people around and give them breaks during the course of the game. But with Clifford, and I'm not having anything against Clifford, but I'm saying the other guy deserves to play a little bit.
I disagree with that. I think Clifford has proven that he's been the guy, and I think there's a lot of value in rolling your starting quarterback out there, even if he's like at 80 or 90, 90%. But with that being said, I mean, put in Levis, and they got
when you're running this, if you're committed to this offense, which they are, and that's fine because overall, since Moorhead's been here, the offense has been pretty good. But you are putting. I sense since he was here.
Right, I got it.
So Moorhead through Ronnie.
Right.
Okay. Follow.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but when you're committed to the quarterback running the ball. What does that mean? Your quarterback's likely to get banged up. We have seen it with Tommy Stevens, with McSorley.
This offense gets quarterbacks hurt,
and that's why I'm saying I think they have to be a little bit more willing. And again, when Clifford's healthy, no doubt about it, he is your number one quarterback. Yeah. He proved it earlier in the year. But if he's banged up, if that offense is struggling, why not give the other guy a look? And I think Levis showed what he could do.
Levis proved yesterday. That position got stronger yesterday. This kid could play quarterback at a Power 5 thing. He showed a lot of poise, toughness, even against Indiana late to clinch that win. I thought they made a mistake when they got down to the 25, down 28-17. Forcing it into traffic there. He took the blame for that, but the run was going well. You said they got away from the run. That was one play where they did.
And I have to, listen, Journey Brown, I know people talk about that play. Journey Brown has proven to be a far better tailback than I thought. He was a track guy in high school. He is not only a good, fast running back, he is running hard and tough. And the combination of Journey Brown, because I'm guessing Kane wasn't quite where he needs to be yet, and Levis, I am just telling you, that sent a message to everybody that this team can still do some power things. So it's a tough loss, but I thought that was one of the big things that stood out to me.
And they're playing against a good defensive team.
Great
One of
defensive
the great defensive team.
And I mean, you saw like those guys were breaking tackles against what could be the top defense.
Yeah, I mean, Journey Brown impressed me yesterday. I mean, because he hung in there and he just battled the whole time. I mean, and Levis was the same way. I mean, he got a hold of the ball. I mean, he just drove. I mean, he pushed the pow in on most of the time.
I thought where they needed a player too was from their special teams. And I don't think there's been enough there. You're fair catching kickoffs, and I know you didn't want to put Hamler in harm's way, but is that a place for Ford? Is that a place for another player?
You have other guys. Yeah, we've heard about how much speed they have. I mean, the lack of the return game has really been puzzling to me. Overall, though, on special teams, there are some other areas. Their coverage has been outstanding. Yeah. I mean, they held that Ohio State team to 7 yards in returns. And how about Pinniger stepping up and kicking a tough field goal into that student section? Yeah. I was impressed. But they, overall, I've been surprised by the lack of explosive plays from the Penn State return game.
And Gilligan didn't have a real good game. That's true. He's only averaged about 29 or 30 yards a punt.
34.
That was his worst.
In a while?
In a while, yeah.
Coming up next, we take a look at the big picture. Can Penn State catch up to the Buckeyes next?
The NitWits are being brought to you by Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAlear's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. Of course, Penn State drops another game to Ohio State. Ohio State has been the class of the Big Ten. It seems like Penn State is always chasing the Buckeyes. And every time you ask maybe a coach or a player, they say, we're close. Is there a time, or how close are they? And is maybe next year the time where they take that next step? What do you think?
Well, they're a lot closer now than they used to be. I mean, I think in the old days, back in the 60s and 70s, which I can relate to, but back then I think Penn State dominated Ohio State. Not dominated, but probably had a better record than they had. We get into the Big Ten, and for various issues that we've had at Penn State, we're just now getting back to that stage, I think. And I think James Franklin's doing a great job recruiting and resurrecting that rivalry. I mean, Ohio State has a couple of rivals. I mean, with Michigan and Michigan State and us, but
it's been a really competitive game. Absolutely,
yeah, every time.
And I think going in, they played well enough in this game, even with Justin Fields coming back next year, that Penn State ought to be able to think that they can beat Ohio State at home next year. And the way the schedule shapes up, with all Penn State has returning and being a year ahead of schedule and the experience that everyone has gained, hey, this could be a top 5 team next year entering the season, depending on what happens in the bowl game.
So will they be elite? Will we consider them elite?
Well, no. I mean, you got to get to the college football playoff a couple times to be elite. There's only about 2 or Clemson, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, maybe Georgia, LSU now.
And we were only a couple plays away from being in that championship.
Yeah, but they've not been there, and that's the key. You have to get there. Now, how far away is Penn State? They're going to have another recruiting class. The one thing I think you have to be a little bit concerned about is who decides to go into the NFL draft. Freiermuth will be eligible. Hamler will be eligible. I don't know. I have no idea at this point. I don't think they know what they're going to do at this point. But I think if they're able to keep most of the gang together, Gross Matos, To me, I would assume that if he's going to go where people think he's going to go, he would go. But overall, I would think if they could keep most of this team together, yeah, they would definitely be looking at a top 10, top 5.
Ohio State's a young team also. There are only a few seniors on that team, so they're going to be around.
Well, I don't know. Though. I mean, tough. Is it Borland?
He's been his 8th-year senior.
KJ Hill must be 40.
Because they've been tossing so many passes
he
to
is
him.
one of the seniors.
Yeah.
When we look back to like the beginning of the year, like our first show of the year, and we're kind of giving our predictions for how the season's going to go, and I was thinking like, I had 4 losses. I think Neil, you probably had like 4 losses or something like that.
I picked 10 and 2.
No, you didn't. Okay.
Who lost us to Minnesota?
I think the whole idea of like picking that, I think we were all kind of looking ahead to the following year where this core group of talent that's in like its sophomore season right now gets into its junior year, and then Penn State's able to take that next step. How much hope do you think the fan base has right now for that?
Well, after this game, I mean, people are obviously, up in arms, but it's one of these things that I've talked about before. I think sometimes you need to take a step back and add perspective, which is very difficult for fans to do after a tough game. I mean, they want to go on Facebook and everything else, but you're looking at a team now that once it takes care of business this week against Rutgers, which it's going to be a huge favorite, is going to be 10-2.
Yeah.
And when was the last time Penn State won 10 games in 3 or 4 seasons? It's 25 years ago, from 1993 to 96, when that team was a national championship contender. People have to take one step back and say, listen, there were expectations before the season, but look where the program is. It's not where everybody wants it to be, but they're making the strides to get there.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think the people are up in arms after this game.
You were on our message boards.
Well, okay.
They're message boards. Coming up next, Penn State's going to finish the season at home, hosting a team at the bottom of the Big Ten. We'll make our picks next.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Dorman's Jewelry. The answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
All right, let's make our picks for Rutgers. It's a 3:30 kickoff, Penn State's final game of the year, senior day. And first, our Nitwit of the week.
Yeah.
Once again.
Going to ride out on with that horse. We don't have the Nitwit of the week standings? What's happening?
I don't know.
We actually need it.
Can we bring it up? We should. All right, anyways. Yeah, there it is.
We do.
Mark is in the lead.
I didn't even realize.
Guy calls for it.
All right, who do you got for Rutgers Penn State? Or
Listen,
what's
Rutgers
your score?
Rutgers in a tough spot. A lot of kids redshirting, coaching change.
But
Penn State's been banged up a little bit. I think they go heavily to the run game, rush for a ton of yards, and win 51-10 Penn State. And I'm going to go something else too. Let's give Michigan, Ohio State picks. I think Ohio State rolls in the big house.
And that's our tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'll jump in. I think this Rutgers is always up for this game. They've obviously had a tough year and a coaching change. I think Penn State will have a little bit of a hangover, and they have some injuries to deal with. I'm going to say Penn State 48, Rutgers 16.
Okay.
I was reading about Rutgers today, and Sports Illustrated had a big article because football started at Rutgers back in 1869, 150 years ago, and what bad shape they're in right now. But I had this score picked before Mark. I mean, announced it, so I'm not trying to cheat off of any, but I have Penn State winning 52-7.
Okay,
that's fine.
52-7.
Hey, let me throw in real quick. I think Michigan's going to give Ohio State a tough game. I don't necessarily say win, but I'd say within 10 points.
This is a smooth segment.
All right.
And if I can do Ohio
real
State,
quick, Michigan,
Ohio
Ohio State.
State's going to win by 2 touchdowns over Michigan.
Nice. All right, I'm going to say like 72-7. Penn State gets a win.
72-7?
Yeah, let's just go back to Idaho. I don't know what the score was. but I'm going to say Penn State wins 72-7. If I'm going Michigan, Ohio State, I'm picking Ohio State. That's going to do it. Guys, we'll see you next week.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAlear's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.